So you see here how now we change the ending. So before it was doing like a new line or break, and now it's doing it's just having a space after each print statement. No, I think end L might have been C++. When you do multiple comments in, I haven't looked at the updates for 3.14 yet, Christine. I know somebody posted it at my work in the chat and I haven't looked at it yet. I don't know what you mean, Okay, let me see. I get confused when you're able to say flower instead of flowers when it's not defined. Yeah, okay, so what's happening is that this, you can think of it like a temporary variable, and we're only using this variable within the code block of this for loop. So it's sort of like, this is one of the benefits of Python, where you're sort of like defining a temporary variable within the loop. And then I think if you have high school level math, then you can probably do most of your coding. You can join if you want to, but there's just different ways of doing it. So there's a lot of different ways of... Can I scroll up? How do you define a permanent variable? Do you mean like a constant? Because a constant is something that that is not supposed to change. Sorry, 1 second. So, okay, constant. 1 second then. So let's see, we're just gonna look it up. Constant in Python. Okay, so this is saying that Python doesn't have built-in constants, but this is like the convention that you would use. You can import like final types. And the only other way that you can get like a constant is like if you use a tuple, which is an immutable, it's sort of like an immutable list. Hi Lynette, how are you? Thank you, Sakil, for confirming or elaborating. How are you doing, Lynette? Okay, so let's see, we have for flower in flowers, print flower, and then you could also do this with like numbers. You check with ID. I'll do another video on Python books because the first one that I did, it was a little bit, the quality was a little bit funny, so I'll redo it. Okay, so let's do another for loop. We could do for, we could say like I in a range, and we could say a range of 5. Then we could go ahead and print I. So notice how I used a different variable name this time, or temporary variable name. End equals quotation marks with the space. That just means that I want to add a string at the end of each print statement, and the string is just going to be a space, like an empty space. Thanks, Theon. If you want to print a specific flower in the list, you would use the index. So like you would do print flower at 0. Oops, sorry, flowers at 0. I'm sorry, Rena. I only started doing this in like August or September. I think it was August. Okie dokie. No, I don't use cursor, Christine. Okie dokie, is this you learning or teaching? I'm just teaching basic Python. Can you implement common prefixes? I don't know what you mean by that. You're welcome, Rena. Okay, so we have for loops. We could do while loops. So with a while loop, we could do something like speed. Oh, yeah, Rela, I'll do that right now. So this is PyCharm. Brienne, if you want to do a project, start with the basic stuff and then make it more complicated. I'm using a Keychron keyboard. We can do a recursive loop, but first we're going to answer Rela's question. So Rela is running into an issue with an infinite loop. So what we can do is something like we can set speed. So we could set speed equal to 75, right? And then we'll have a while loop. And in the while loop, we have another condition, right? It's going to evaluate to true or false. But what we want to do is that we're going to say something like, while speed is greater than 0, then print the speed. So when I run this code, what's going to happen? Kevin, I have not seen Mr. Robot. What's going to happen when I run this code, chat? Infinite loop. Yep. Exactly. Yep. So what's going to happen, and I'll put a debug, right? And then we'll go ahead and debug this. So you see this. This is the debugger. And what's going to happen is that whenever we go through this loop, so I'm going to use this step over button and it'll come back to this point. Every time we come back here, right? So it'll print and then it'll come back up and it'll print and it'll come back up. But you see how speed is not changing? We need to make it so that the speed will change. I do these lives on Mondays and Thursdays, and then if I feel like it, I do it on the weekend. So every time we do this, it's going to keep going back, but speed is not changing, so speed will always be greater than 0. If you add 1, it's still going to be greater than 0. We can try it. No, I learned Haskell in school, but I don't use it. So I forgot how to use it. Okay, so now we have it plus 1, right? So step over, it's gonna just step to the next statement. if I wanted to move to the debug point again, I could just click resume program and it'll stop at the debug point. So I keep doing this and look at the speed. The speed is incrementing. You see that? So I keep doing this and it keeps incrementing, but it's not getting any closer to 0. So the problem is, it's going 86, 87. The problem is that we need to decrement. So I'm going to do speed minus equals 15. And then let's run it again. Yes, it's PyCharm, so it's an idea product. All right, so now speed is 75, right? And then we step in and we'll see speed, and this statement is going to decrement from 75. And you see now speed is going down to 60. And then we keep going. Speed will decrement to 45. And we keep going. Speed will decrement to 30. And we can keep going and it'll go 15. And then it'll go 0. And when it's at 0, then it'll check here, is speed greater than 0? And if is 0 greater than 0? I really like the debugger in PyCharm. Are you using VS Code right now? Right. Speed at 0 is not greater than 0. So that means when we try to step over back into the code block, the program ends because there's nothing else for it to run. It's already been told, like, I only want you to run for as long as the speed is greater than 0, but as soon as the speed is greater than 0, I want you to stop. Does that help? What was your name? Rila, does that help? Can you make it so it pulls them over if they go over the speed limit? Yeah, you can do that. Thank you, Tori. Or is it Tori? Mr. Bankiness? Mr. Banks? Yeah, thank you, Sakil. How can you add a message saying that speed is less than 0 after it hits 0? Well, what we can do is that we know that the loop ends when the speed equals 0, right? So we could just print, you stop moving. We could even make this a print string and pass speed. We already know what, a formatted string and pass speed. So 75, 60, 45, 30, 15, you stop moving and your speed is 0. The other thing somebody asked is, like, can you pull somebody over if they're going too fast? You can do that, but if you want to do that, you would do something, or we can make it more complicated. We can put a conditional statement in the while loop, or we can have a conditional statement outside. So let's go ahead and put it outside first, because some people might get confused. So we could say, if speed is greater than 50, print, you're going too fast. Right? And we could say else if speed is greater than, greater than 35. Sorry, it's not else if, it's elif. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so elif speed is greater than 35, print, you are going the speed limit. And we could say elif speed is greater than, what number is, like, too slow? What number should we put for too slow? 25? 15? Okay, let's put 15. So print you are going to slow, and then else print, or I mean it's not really else. Let's do elif speed is greater than 0, print you need to go faster, and then else, so else would be like 0 or over 15 is too slow. Yeah, in this case. So Tally, if you're having some difficulty understanding, we can go over it again, but let me do print. I'm gonna say you're not going anywhere. And we're not using vectors, so it's not like if you have -5, then you're gonna go backwards. So let's do speed, and I'm gonna make this a formatted string. Exactly, you could also make a function for this. So I'll put this in the while loop, and then we'll put in a function. Yeah. My first coding language, aside from HTML and CSS, was Java. So if anybody is having like some difficulty with understanding where to start, what you can do is that you can go to my GitHub, and there's a list of resources that you can use to get started with coding. I don't get paid for any of this, but there's learnpython.org, W3 Schools, Geeks for Geeks, Spelldung, Tutorials Point. These are just resources that are freely available. My GitHub is on my profile. And then there's also some other stuff, so like free courses online for Python, Java, and I'll keep working on this and keep making it better, but right now this is the README, and it's just on the repo for Python learning. Desktop computer. Custom web scraper, it depends on whether the page is dynamic or static. If it's static, then you can use Beautiful Soup. If it's dynamic, then you have to use Selenium, I think. Yeah, HTML and CSS aren't really programming languages, but I mentioned them because some people, that's how they get started. HTML is a markup language, and CSS is for style sheets. I also use Java. Hey Dylan, thank you for following. I agree, Mr. Banks, that it takes experience to be simple, like to do coding like simply and clearly. Like it looks easy, but then like when you actually first start, then it takes some time. Okay, so let's go ahead. So we have speed is greater than 50, you're going too fast. We can do greater than or equal. Somebody in the chat suggested, who was it? Kevin suggested that we use greater than or equal, I think. So what happens here is that if we don't have this equal sign, if it's 51, then it'll be true here, right? But if it's 50, then it's going to go on to the next condition. Thank you, user. Cool, JBC. All right. So, let's go ahead. I'm gonna cut this, and I'm going to add this to our while loop. So now it'll check this condition every time it iterates through the loop. Every iteration in the loop, it'll check the speed, and then it'll decrement the speed. So I'm gonna run the debugger again. We start off with 75. And then we go and we check, is speed greater than 50? It is, so it'll go into that code block and it'll print out you're going too fast. And then now it skips everything else because it doesn't need to check any other statement. It only checks the first true statement. Or it only works on the first. It only executes the code of the first true statement. What do you mean make the speed move in a sine wave? I'm using PyCharm. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going with this. Instead of decrementing it, have it follow a sine wave so that we can see it move between states. I'm not sure what you mean. You mean like multiply by sound values so that we could see it going positive and then negative and positive and negative? It'll be an infinite loop. Random interference. We don't have to declare in Python. Oh, I see. Okay. Let me look up the method for, I think it's a math method. I have to import the math. So let's see, sine function in Python. Okay, so it's just math.sine. And we have to use radians. Calculate the sine of 30 degrees. So you want it random? I don't use Lua. How do you create a loop and how do you end a loop? So the loop will end when the exit condition is reached. It's like when it's no longer true. You can offset the sine wave from 0 so it doesn't go to negative, or use math.abs. Oh, Christine, you already know how to do this. So if you already know how to do this, then I've only used it when messing with my config. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. Let me see. Okay, so let's go, and we're still decrementing. Thanks, Christine. It's okay. I thought that you were actually like asking a question of how to do it. Yeah, you can use a random number. Okay, we'll finish this example and then we'll use a random number. So Jesus, you can make an object that describes that character. I'm using PyCharm. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going and then pay attention to the current speed. 75, 60, and then let's go down. Is speed greater than 50? Yes. Okay. 45, speed still greater than 50. Oh, sorry, speed is not greater than 50, so you see how it skipped over this one and it went to the next one. This one was true, so it goes inside that code block. And then 30, is this going to be true or false? Is 30 greater than 35? Okay, we'll do random numbers next. But if we... Okay. Right, speed is not greater than 35, so it moves to speed is greater than 50. Is it 15? Is it greater than 15? Yes. So this is where we talk about the greater than or equal to. So greater than or equal to, right? And then right now it's 15, so is 15 greater than 15? No. So then we keep going. And it's going to say speed greater than 0. Okay, and now the speed is 0, so let's see what happens. Let's see. Yep, you're right. It doesn't get here. Because we already checked for this condition. Thank you for mentioning that. So we can take that out to make it less confusing. The real Mahata. Alrighty, so somebody said we could randomize it and make it go up and down. Let me see right quick. You did. I missed. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Christine. I didn't know. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have like a very specific way that I do it every time, so I get a little bit confused when people ask me to implement other things like sine waves, and then I would have to actually like look it up. I'm sorry, I cannot help you make an app. Alright. Thank you for the galaxy, Christine. I appreciate it. 3 to 4 hours of study, that depends on how much coding experience that you have. Okay. Speed 0 print must, yeah, you can do speed 0 outside the loop like we did earlier. So print your current speed is 0. So after this loop ends, we know that the speed is greater than 0, so we just assume that you're going to have a 0 speed. So this is not entirely correct because you could still have a 0, or you could have like a negative number. And one other thing that we can do, PyCharm, I pay for it, but they do have a community edition. I should not be drinking sparkling water while I'm trying to do this class. My job title is software engineer. It took me about 3 months to feel pretty comfortable with like basic Python. Jesus, I'm not going to work on that right now. You can use Community Edition for free. Okay. Between free and community, the Community Edition is the free one. At speed 1 to 14, you will get the wrong print. That's true. So, there is an error here. So the error is, we could just do over 0. And yeah. So I think that we should just do it that way. How long have I been in software development? 2 years. Okay. So we're gonna refactor this. I don't know if you can see the screen. So let's refactor this. And you see, okay, you can't see the whole thing, but I'm going to go ahead and extract the method. And I'm going to assign a method name. It'll just be O of n. Actually, technically not O of n, but O of n, I mean O of n basically. Alright, so we have a function, right? And we're gonna say the function is check underscore speed and decrement. So now we have that function. We need to pass a parameter. We'll call it speed. So Control X, I'm going to move this over here. And I'm going to say that this is current speed instead. And then I'm going to pass current speed to the method. And notice how this method has to be defined before we use it. You can use a switch case, but here we're using the range. Won't it always be greater than 0? Yeah, you're right, sorry. Let me see. Actually, yes. But we're doing that because technically we want to be able to get anything between 35 and 0, but we also want to consider that they might input like a negative number. Is Python mostly used for automation? Not necessarily, that's what I've used it for, but Python can also be used for web development. I don't teach intro C++. I took C++, but I don't use it. Yeah, you could do that instead if you wanted to. So we could do elif speed. Wait, can you do? Yeah, you can do that in Python, right? We could do 15 greater than speed and greater than 0. I forget that you can do that in Python, but you can't do that in Java. Okie dokie. So doo-doo. Alrighty, so what would you like to do next? Would you like to do, we could do just the list, tuples, and sets, or we can do dictionaries. Is anybody in the chat having questions? Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. Dictionaries. This is not for an app, this is just demonstration purposes. You can see the full screen if you go on YouTube. So G, I don't know why you're being rude, but like, yeah. Can you teach us while and for loop? We just did while and for loop. You want to be efficient on Python, or should you learn other programming languages? That's up to you and what type of position that you want to get. Because some positions require different languages or tech stacks. How is Python applied to apps and sites? There's a bunch of different websites that use Django as the backend. Hey Arthur, I'm sorry that you're stressed out, but I hope that you enjoy the 100 days of code. Can you do exact change with the least amount of coins? I'm not gonna do that right now. G, I think that you should maybe try doing a live stream where you're teaching people how to do code, and I think you might understand that it's not the same as coding by yourself. So you do make mistakes, just like when you take classes in college. Sometimes the professor makes mistakes, but that doesn't mean that they're not supposed to be where they are. Match case. Hey DJ, how are you? I don't use Lua. Will I be doing Advent of Code this year, and do you have your own leaderboard? I haven't thought about it. Is Advent of Code during December? Because if so, I can make a leaderboard. Ellipses, thank you for that comment. I agree with you that we are always learning, and like, yeah. There's always another programming language to learn. I know that it's taking me some time to get through the comments right now. Let's see. Django, DJANGO, is a framework that allows you to create like APIs and stuff like that in web development. Do web development with Python. Yeah, we'll do dictionaries. I'm not majoring in CS, I'm a software engineer. Elliot G is not printing anything. Speed is greater than 50. Yeah, you're right, because we're decrementing by 15. If we were decrementing by 1, then it would print. I went to school and I did a master's in CS, but I did during my bachelor's I did a minor. Let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. Can't see anything on YouTube. Sorry. I really thought. Oh, Daniel, can you see on YouTube? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up to the comments. Let me see. Good morning, Chocolate. Would you recommend Codex for beginners? Some people suggested Codex, so I added it to the reference. AJ, you feel like you haven't learned much in school? I don't use PyTorch. You can go through documentation and tutorials to learn functions and syntax before you dive in, Anthony. It depends on your learning style. Let's see. YouTube is blurry. Let me see. Let's see. I do have a YouTube channel. Okay. You know, Nub, you could just scroll. You could keep scrolling instead of, like, complaining. AJ, you can message me directly. Do you need an ending else in Python? You don't need to. So I don't want to make this too long. That's why I did 15, but if we did like 10, then now the else if 15 speed 0 would execute. And in this case, then we would have else. And I mean, we could have an else if maybe the speed was like negative. Let me see. You're going too slow. And then else. Let's do. Else would be like if they gave you a negative value. So then we could print. But here, it's not gonna. We're putting in how much it's decrementing and where we're starting from. So that's why we're not gonna get a negative value. But we could change this to an input. And we could say, how fast were you going? And we're gonna take this out of the loop actually. So let me create another, let's see, create another one and then check speed decrement. Check speed, check underscore speed. And then I'm going to take the loop away and take the loop away, and here I'll put in the check speed. Okay, and then they should do basically the same thing. And this is just refactoring it so that we're not doing the same typo F. Infinite loop? Yes, you're right. Sorry. Yeah. But see, okay, yeah. Thanks, Executioner. I hope you enjoyed it. Nub, are you sad or are you lonely? Because I can see that you want attention, and I know that when you say mean things to other people that sometimes they'll give you attention. And if you are sad or if you are lonely, I'm sorry, but I would appreciate it if you weren't being rude. You sound like a lonely person and a sad person, but I hope you have a better day. Let's see. I'm a software engineer. I already blocked him. Yeah, I prefer having a chat where it's more positive. No, I haven't started teaching modules. Thanks, Farmer. Okay, dictionaries. I like doing the Sagittarius and, let me see, Sagittarius drinks. But, let's see, dictionary. Okay, so let's see. Yep, Python. All right, so let's do dictionary. So we have, how long did it take for me to get where I am? I don't know what BOB coding is. Okay, so let's do some dictionaries. So we have *_sign drinks. We could say equals sign. And then let's go ahead and do, can I have some drinks and star signs in the chat? Pina colada. Okay, drink, Leo. Leo drinks pina colada. Okay, and then orange juice. So maybe Capricorn. Capricorn drinks orange juice. Okay. Gemini fizzy water. Let's see, Gemini fizzy water. And then we have Long Island for cancers. And then we have Long Island. And then we have Aries Pepsi. And then Taurus ice water. That makes Taurus sound very boring. Let's see, Taurus ice water. Aquarius for tequila. Okay. Let's see. And then we say tequila. Let's see. All right. So, let's see. Let's do, we could do a for each. So for, let's do sign and then drink in *_sign _drinks dot items print. And then what are we printing? We're printing Pisces drinks the blood of enemies. Okay, I will add that one since that was creative. Let's see, Pisces. Hey Jam, how are you? Blood of enemies. I don't know Lua, but a lot of people mention Lua. No, I'm not a grad student. I already have a job. Okay. Let's see, so we could do a print string or formatted string, and then we could do something like sign likes to drink, and then drink. Oh, sorry, dot items. And run. So this was, it's still running this stuff, so I'm going to comment this out. Actually, I'm going to comment this and these two. I'm not going over Java right now. How long does it take to memorize? It's less of memorization and more, I think, like recall. Like you have to like actively use it. Hey Biola, or Biola. Let's see, I'm going over Java tomorrow. Why the comma after for sign comma drink? It's because we're going to, this dot items function gets all of the elements in this dictionary and then breaks it up into a tuple. So it'll say Leo comma pina colada, and then when we're doing this right here, we are unpacking that tuple. Yeah, pattern recognition too, Jim. So we're unpacking the tuple into separate temporary variables, and then these temporary variables we're calling within the code block. I do lives almost twice a week. Dr. Doom, it has been about over 2 months, 3 months. Live coding tomorrow, it should be 5:10 PST. If it says 8:10, then I have to fix it. Thank you, Doom. Cool, Danny. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Okay. Okay, I'll fix it. Sorry about that. So mutable and immutable is a little bit, they can be a little bit confusing. So, and part of the reason why I don't really like to bring it up is because strings are technically immutable, but the way that we treat them is like they're mutable, so it can cause confusion. But immutable just kind of means like you can't make changes to it. Mutable means that you can make changes. So when we look at list versus tuples, for example, thanks, broke baby. Yeah, this is a dictionary, and then we're just iterating through the elements in the dictionary, or the items in the dictionary. Star drink. I don't have a variable star drink drinks, or star drink. Okay. I usually go live on Monday and Thursday. At time, it's 5 and 6 p.m. Okay. So, let me see, star sign strings, and then your loop, and then somebody asked a question. If it's in PTC, what is it in UTC? I'm not sure what UTC. I don't remember that time zone. Mutable, immutable, dictionary. Wait, what were we doing? Oh, like tuples. List and tuples. Okay, so list. So let's do fruits. Did we do fruits yet? No, we did flowers. Okay, can I get some fruits in the chat, please? Yeah, I'll show fruits versus tuples. I'm not a fan of MATLAB. I tried it once, and I haven't tried it again. Mango. What is what comes after? Mango, grape, pineapple. Okay. Mango, grape, pineapple, raspberries. Actually we're out of space. Okay, so this is fruits, and then we can just do the same thing. We'll just do let me see, how about vegetables, and this will be a tuple, so I'm going to use parentheses. Yeah, I don't think Google, like specifically the AI, understands time zones very well, because it was getting something wrong. Okay, carrot. Thanks, Nicole. Let's see, carrot, and then what else? What other vegetables do we have? Do you have to be smart to code? Not necessarily. Lettuce. Broccoli. Somebody asked, is this free? Coding is free. Learning to code is free. Okay, we have enough. Thank you. Dr. Doom, what did I say that made you say that you graduated high school and you're a SWE? Asking for, oh, that's what you meant, because of the smart thing. I don't think whether or not you graduate high school has to do with whether you're smart, but anyways. Okay, so we have here a list. So lists are ordered, indexable, ordered, indexable, mutable, and allow duplicates. This one is a tuple. tuple. We're just talking about data structures right now. So tuples are ordered, indexable, not mutable or immutable, and allows duplicates. So the only difference between a list and a tuple is whether or not it's mutable. So that's why we're looking at this right now. Let's see. Python? One person said start your homework early, and yeah, so the square brackets are for lists and the parentheses are for tuples. Creating macros, I would think, is considered coding. What does mutable mean? Yeah, we're going to explain what mutable is right now. So mutable means that it can change. Immutable is like it's static, constant, cannot be changed. I'm sorry that Python makes you cry, Nani. I really like Python, but if you have a bad experience, then I can understand how it would make you feel like you don't want to do Python. Do tuples allow duplicates? Yes, they do. How do you remember the different ways to add on to lists and dictionaries and tuples? It just takes practice, and like especially when you're doing like coding interviews, then you have to practice a lot, so you get better at it when you practice. Yes, we did Boolean earlier. Bald Python? No, I have not. Okay, so let's go ahead and do fruits. So fruits at index 0, we could change it to apple to orange, and then we can print fruits, right? And then I run this. Okay. Oh, I need to. There's some things that are printing. Okay, that's right. All right. So I'm gonna run this. Right? So we have orange, mango, grape, pineapple. And before we had apple. So you are able to change an element, for example. And also you're able to append to the list. So let's say pear. And then let's print fruits. Okay, so you see pear. And we can also remove. Dot remove. And then we can remove, let's remove grape. And let's print this again. Fruits. Run. Okay. So let's see, grape, orange, mango, pineapple, pear, right? So when we say mutable and we say it can be changed, we mean like you can change individual elements. You can add to the list, remove from the list. So that's what we mean when we say it's mutable. So if mutability means all of these things, it means that you can't do these things if it's immutable, right? Because it's just the opposite. Append does add it to the end of the list, yes. Yeah, exactly, Gem. Yes, Baltimore. Do I know SQL? I use SQL at work, but I'm not like super great at it. By commands, right? Because if you can access the code, you can change it either, right? Exactly. So we can access vegetables at 0. So we could do vegetables at 0, right? Let me see, vegetables at 0. I will print this out. But we can't reassign it. Where it can test you and grade your work. You can use like learnpython.org. Well, I mean, I don't know if it actually tests you. Code Academy will test you and grade you. We have Carrot. I think you already said it. It's basically like the best language is the language that, works for your use case. Hacker rank. Yeah, let me see. What is this person saying? They said grade you. I guess if you want to, like, you can use LeetCode or hacker rank for grading you if you wanted to. Yeah, that would be LeetCode or HackerRank, like Baltimore suggested. What does the 0 do? Okay, here we're using brackets, and this is to get an element at a specific index. So we're like retrieving an element from the list or the tuple. And it works the same way. Okay. Is there anything else that people want to do in the chat? Hey, Bucket Hat Man, how are you? Let me see. Yes, I do. Thanks, Dre. Let me see. It's not really learning in public. If anything, it's practicing in public. How do you apply the code to an actual website or application? That's when you have to actually use frameworks, so you can use like Django or Flask or Fast API. Oh, that's an interesting way to learn. Metro. So Metro said that she likes to learn by coding in using code that she already used or made in another language and then changing it to the new language. So this is coding, and it's like the very basics of coding. So if you don't have the basics, then you can't really learn a framework very easily. Oops. Yeah, exactly, Jim. So, like I said, I don't have a very good example of that right now. Flask, and I haven't worked on Flask. I did do Django, but I don't understand it very well. That was one that I was like learning in public. It's this one, but I can't explain it to you appropriately. So this is the views Python file. These are the paths that you would use to get to endpoint. Oh crap, I can't even see. So this is the views. So it's like if you want to, like what kind of data that you're trying to get as the response. And then we have the URLs. So these are the paths that you would go to get the data, or to see a new view. And then nothing in test. These are the models. So this is just like regular object-oriented programming. This is, have I built any games? Yes, but they're on my website, and I don't share my website on TikTok. And I just followed gamedev.tv, so if you want to learn to make games, try gamedev.tv. Okay, and then let's see, apps. So this is just blog config. I'm not even sure if this is named correctly. And then we have admin info. And then that's pretty much it. I didn't finish this though. So, but there are other, there are GitHub repos that you can look up that have implementations of like Flask and everything already. If this is on YouTube, I'm gonna have to take it down because I'm gonna be quite honest. I get really tired of, certain people having expectations of how other people should, code, or what level they should be at as an engineer. And it's just kind of like, you could literally go do a live stream if you wanted to, but instead you just want to be here and you want to be rude. And then you want to tell me that because you're also a software engineer that it's okay for you to be rude. Which, if you were at work, that would not be okay. Like, that would be bullying. That would be, HR. Like, you could go to HR and be like, hey, this person's being an interesting person. So anyways, when people act like that, that's not very professional, and that does not speak very well of them. Hey, Space Cadet. Nothing much. It's a superiority complex, and that's what always happens and keeps happening, and it's probably not going to stop. Can you go over dictionaries and show how to use with stack? So with stacks, let's see. It honestly, like, when people act like that, it just makes me glad that I don't have to work with them, because it's like, you sound like you would not be a great person to work with. Okay. Let's see. So if you want to do something like a stack, I think stack is last in, first out. So let's see. Yeah, it is that. And I know that, like, as my following gets bigger, then more people get angry that I have a following to begin with. And they get angry that, like, they don't have a following, which is weird. Yeah, sorry about that. It's like if you, like, I didn't just start trying to do coding and stuff. You're good, Dark. Like, I wasn't offended by anything that you said. It's just, sometimes rude people get into my chat, and then, yeah. Okay, so we have stack and we have the stack and queue, right? So queue is first in, first out. So when you have stacks and queues, you just implement them with lists in Python. So you could do like a stack equals, and then you have you just create a list, and then you go like, since stack is last in, first out, so queue is first in, first out. Okay, so we have stack, so we could do, what's one way we could do this? I want to add to the stack. And I'm thinking like, should I add to the stack with a loop, or should I just pre-populate the stack? I guess I will pre-populate it. Let's just do orange, apple, banana. Alright, so we could do, let's see, stack last in, first out. So we would just do stack.append. Append. You guys know how to remove comments on live? What do you mean by that? Weren't you glad I didn't say banana? A stack.append, and then we could append like raspberry. How do you even spell raspberry? Is that correct? Raspberry. Okay. So you have stack.append, and then when you are getting something from the stack, so this is adding to the stack, right? Because append will just put it in the, put the element at the end of the list, and that's what you want from a stack, right? Because you want last in, first out, so you want to add to the end of the stack and then take whatever was added last. So you could just do stack.pop, and if we print this, then it'll give us raspberry. Let me see. Okay, you see? So, let me see. Or you could do, if you want to just remove from the stack, then you would just do print stack dot, oops. Stack dot, is it stack dot remover? No, we would just do delete if you're just wanting to remove it. For fruit and fruits, print fruit, yeah. Did you want to see? I mean, we could just print the stack, right? And we could add more things to the stack. We could add stack.append. What would we append? We would append blueberry. And then we could append blueberry and apple, orange, banana, blueberry, and I don't know, apricot? Okay. So now when we print stack, what values are we gonna get in the list? You could just say the first letters of the fruits. You're struggling with functions. I can, what part of functions are you struggling with? Because it sort of depends. Okay, so we're printing stack. We're printing the whole list. So it would be orange, apple, banana, then raspberry, blueberry. It would pop blueberry, so it would just be raspberry, and then it would be apricot. Right? And so we print this. So orange, apple, banana, raspberry, apricot. We don't have blueberry here because we popped it from the end of the list. So then, I mean, that's pretty much all you wanted, right? You could also remove from the end of the list. So you could just do delete, stack at length of stack -1. As a drink, would that be fruit punch? I guess so. You could probably call that fruit punch. So let's delete the last element at the end of the list, and then we would get orange, apple, banana, raspberry. How did you determine which item in the list would be pop? Yep. Vamshi already responded. So pop will always take the last one from the list. Yeah. Either the latest one that you added or the last element in the list. Invoking a function with an argument. Yep. Always removes the element at the index -1. We already did dictionaries. We did them up here. Wait, here. You can also write stack. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Yep. Cool. So when I did it the other way, I was just getting the entire list and then subtracting 1 because in Python lists are 0 indexed, which means that the last element of your list is going to be the length of the list -1. Pop. So pop will remove the last element in the list and return it. So that's why we're able to print it here. Because if we did a delete, if we tried to print delete, it wouldn't print anything. Because it doesn't return a value. It actually doesn't even let me do this. See, it says invalid syntax. Oh. Okay, let's see. So we have stack. I didn't do Q. Somebody said function. So there's a lot of resources to learn to code. You can go to my GitHub and you can check out this list. So these are some of the resources that you can use. And then for cool, Rain. Alright, yeah, so you can check out what courses are already here. It's not a complete list. I'm just gonna keep working on it, like as I find more things or as people share suggestions. Is coding worth it? I think so. How do I feel about DSA? I think that some DSA is fun, like, but some of it can be difficult, like maps are difficult for me. I already blocked getting better. So the GitHub is on my profile, and it's just a, you can just check out my profile, and my GitHub will be linked there. There is a lot to learn. Welcome, Tim. This is PyCharm. Okay, you want to do Java? Let me see. Actually, let me commit that first. Never seen Java. Okay, so you hated SQL. PyCharm is what I'm using the IDE. You're trying to debug the code. Let me just commit this and then you can use it on your, or you can work on it on your local. Okay, it pushed. Let me see. So let's do IntelliJ. I don't think I have IntelliJ downloaded right now for some reason. Oh wait, there it is. Okay. I don't make gambling websites. If you pass the class using ChatGPT, then you're, Bonte, that was funny. Okay, let's see. So we have build, sorry. It's a simple CRUD app. So let's do, and then it's, what is it? I don't even know. I don't think I'm supposed to do this. We'll say October 10th. October 10th. Okay, add. So, yeah. I mean, I think I do understand, but when you're at work and something happens, then you really realize why you should use certain things and not other things. Okay, so we have our class, right? And then I'm going to go ahead. So we have this class is in a package, so yeah, we'll pay attention to packages later. Public, this is an access modifier. It means that any other class can access it, even if it's outside this package. Class, it's just saying, hey, this is a class. We already know this is a class. And then we can do a method. So I'm going to do public static void main string args. And this is going to be our main method. This is how we execute our code. Or this is the main method is what the Java will look for when it wants to, when we run it to actually execute the code. So we have to, let's see, public static void. Static means that this, you don't have to create an instance of this class, or sorry, that, yeah, no. Static is that this, see, this is why I have to practice more. Are you good at reading file docs in script? I don't know what you mean by that. Sorry, I thought you meant like readmes. I use resources or references when I work on that. Okay, so we have public static void main string args, and then in Java versus in Python, we actually have to use data types. Yeah, I don't have to instantiate the class. Thank you, Reed. I'm using IntelliJ now, but they basically look the same. All right, so if I want to use like an integer, then I have to actually explicitly state the data type. So I'm going to say int whole number equals 5. Another thing about Java is that you actually have to use semicolons. And a lot of people, when they first get started with Java, then they don't know what semicolons are, or they forget to add the semicolon, and then that creates a lot of problems. So that's a really big issue for beginners. So we have our int, we could have a string. So we have string, let's see, title. What's the name of a good movie? Ice Age. Ice Age is a good movie. Okay, so we have our string. We could have a float. So let me see, float, and let's see, access modifiers. Yeah, this is, yeah, that's why I don't usually use Java on live stream. But yeah, so, oh, Braveheart is a good movie. Okay, we could change it to Braveheart. Braveheart, isn't that with Mel Gibson? Okay, so we could have a float, we could have cost really shouldn't be a float, but we're gonna just say cost. 14 equals 14.99 and then we could have a double. So we could have a double, but we don't really need it because doubles have to do with precision. You've been using Ubuntu, grew up with MySpace. That's cool, Raven. It's a Keychron keyboard. How can I get back into relearning? So Raven, you can go ahead and check out my GitHub. I have a couple different resources posted if you want to learn how to code. So there's Python, W3 Schools, Geeks for Geeks. W3 Schools will have stuff for HTML and CSS each, also. And then you can also like check out the academic courses from like MIT, Harvard, Helsinki. Is that in Norway? I don't know. I don't remember. Somebody suggested it yesterday. Yeah, it's just basic Java. So let's see. Equals some number with a lot of decimal points. So a float, and I'm going to use comments here. Thank you, Jam. I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out. Tech Finland, thank you. Let me see. What did you say? GitHub, yeah, that's spelled right. Okay. Alright, so this is a comment, and I'm just going to say that a float is half the size of a double. And a double is twice the size of a float. Oh, you can't even see. And then this is allows for more precision. But that doesn't mean that you should use it for like money. I'm not doing interview problems, Mark. GitHub is free, yes. Well, at least if you're doing personal projects. I think like there are corporate like corporations have to pay for the enterprise, but a decimal. So they're floating point. This is a floating point numbers. Floating point number. Oh, you can't see it again. Thanks, Nadal. So they're floating point numbers. The way that we think of decimals is different from the way that decimals are in programming. So decimals are more like base 10 numbers. And base 10 is just like our normal numbers that we use every day, like 15, 20, right? So let's see, int, string, float, double, what else? Oh, you could have a long if it's a super long number. So we have a long, really long number equals, oops, number equals, and then we could say really big number, and then add an L at the end. I think I did something wrong. It's too long. It's too long for the long. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you could do a short too. A short is half the size of a int, right? Short equals, but I mean, this is stuff that, what is the size of long and int in bytes? Yeah, there is a difference. That's what I mean by the size. So I'm gonna use a reference for this. So sizes of data types in Java. I know that this is so I think it would be, okay, so 2 to the 8th power, 2 to the 16th power, 2 to the 32nd power. And so a short is between the size of an int and of a byte and an int, but it's half the size of an int. And then a long is twice the size of an int. And then here we have floats, right? So the float is 4 bytes or 32 bits. And the double is 8 bytes or 64 bits. So the double is twice the size of a float. And it also discusses like the precision. So the precision is, Marvin, are you already a software engineer? This is a super long way to do it. I mean, Marvin, if you want to do like algorithm questions, you could do them on live stream. Numbers hurt head. I don't know what that means, Domo. 5-year network engineer. I think coding can be intimidating, especially when you're learning a new language or you're looking at a language that you haven't done before. I'm using a Windows. So Windows TikTok Live Studio can be used on Windows, but they don't have it yet for Mac. I think that there's a lot of reasons why a lot of people in tech have imposter syndrome. I think part of it comes from like bullying. Is it bullying? Like, you know the person that was here earlier who was being an ass? Yeah, like that. And I think that when people act that way towards you, that it can make you feel like you're not good enough. But also, let me see. It's also sometimes a lack of support in tech roles. Sometimes it's also like really high expectations in your role and just not having the support. Yeah, exactly. There's a whole lot to learn and you can't know it all. But then like when you talk with other people who are software engineers and then they want to like judge you or like look down on you for not knowing what they know, and it's just ridiculous. You always doubt yourself and you have a master's degree, Foxfather. I also have a master's degree, but I only have like 2 years of experience, so like I'm not gonna know everything. Like I already know that. But I know that I'm also good at certain things. And I just have to be okay with myself for that. And if other people have a problem with it, then that's not my problem. Or at least that's how I try to, work with it. JavaScript or Java isn't necessarily one better than the other. You just use different programming languages for different, use cases or problems. Vante, it's fine, thank you though. If you don't learn the new tools, others will, and that's what will keep you on the edge. I mean, yes, but also sometimes you only need to learn the tools that you need to learn for your work. You're good at utilizing different parts of language and love math. Yeah, I think that those are good indicators. Alina, yes, I have taken data structures. Is Java an old language? I think Java and Python are about the same age. They were both created around 1991, I think. I don't know what AQA means. Okay, sorry, let's go back. How does one create a meaningful resume project? My advice is, yes, I agree, Dre. And honestly, like when I do have any issues, I do talk with my mentors, and it's also not just mentors, like it's also just like people who are around the same skill level or same like level of experience as me, and like just supporting each other is really important. So when other people are not supportive, then you just know that that has to do with them being an asshole and not that you are bad at your job. Automated quality assurance. I started computer science class. Coding. Networking. Sorry, I'm missing like some context. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna say people are assholes today. Nope, no recursive loops today. Okay, so we did short. So int long, string, float. We can look at like hash map and how it looks in what do you call this? Java versus in, I used to grind LeetCode, and I grind LeetCode if I'm looking for a position, but I'm not looking for a position right now. So I could say string, and then I could say, we could say star signs again, right? Star signs equals, and it's completing it for me. So it just imported the class that we need, so the hash map class, to be able to use to create a new hash map object. This is for specifying what data types that you're going to use. So here you can see that it could be object, but you can specify it to be more granular. So a string is a type of object, but we're saying we only want to allow strings here. What is the end result of the code? This is just demonstrating like a hash map is basically a dictionary. So a dictionary in Python is a hash map, or more or less equivalent to a hash map in Java, because they don't always have like the best equivalencies. Like they're not always directly equivalent to each other. There's certain like quirks in different languages and different the way that different languages implement certain data structures. Yeah, classes in Java are similar to classes in C++. Defining commands, do you mean like functions? So this right here, public static void main string args, is a function, but this is, we could also create another function like, we could say public string and public string, and then write me a sonnet. This is a horrible example, but and then so you see how we have this access modifier, we have a return type, and then we have the actual method name here. So we can go ahead and return a string. So we need to return something, and it needs to be some kind of string. We can just return an empty string for now, but we could add code here to like write a sonnet, which I don't know how you would write a sonnet. I mean, you could like access an AI API and send a prompt. It's not Python, it's Java. I don't think I can change the name of the live while we're live. So if I change, it is cool. Or you could do something, I don't write or practice C++ anymore. I had to do it for Unreal Engine for my thesis, but I haven't used it since. And I also did it for like operating systems and stuff. Or was it operating systems? Maybe it was networking. Language of choice, if I have to use OOP, I prefer Java because I feel more comfortable with OOP in Java. In Python, it feels like things are a little bit too flexible and a little bit too dynamic. It is more confusing than Python, but it's also fun. I kind of prefer it just because of the structure. But there's a lot of things in Java. There's a lot of different things. Okay, so we could say write me a sonnet, or we could do I don't know how to do the same things that I do in Python. Like I feel like Python I can do a lot like smaller cool things, but with Java it's more like I can't do the same types of things that you would do on LeetCode in Java because I don't remember those specific like cool tricks and stuff. But yeah, so you can just go ahead and write this. If you want to do a for loop, you could do a for loop. So we would do something like for int I equals O. So we're initializing a index or a counter. Then we could do something like for int I equals O while I is less than 10. And then we have to add another semicolon, and then we would do something like I plus plus. No, okay, I is greater than 0, sorry. I wasn't thinking about what I was writing. So while, oh wait, okay, my bad. Okay, so while I is, oh okay, I could do it that way. While I is less than 10. While I is less than 10. Oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we would just print up. Sorry. Yeah, in Java and JavaScript they look similar. Yeah, it's just like Python is a little bit too flexible sometimes, so we would just do something like system.out. One other thing is that like there's certain sout. If you do sout, no. Okay. There's certain like keys that you can use or shorthand system.out.println to like start the function, but I don't really remember them. Do I have a preferred IDE? IntelliJ or PyCharm? So I could just do print, oh sorry, system.out.println and then print I, Control S. And it is really interesting too. Let's see, so we run this. Oh no. Oh no. My bad. I should not have run that. I can just run it here. Or is it already running? Nope. Don't run that. Okay. So you see, is S out? Oh, is that what I did? It was because I did uppercase, thank you. What's the hash map for? I didn't do anything with it yet. So let's see, star signs. I get distracted. So it says AB, we could just put Leo, orange juice. I don't know if anybody in the chat wants to say star signs and drinks again. So we could do, and we're just adding to the list of star signs. What the? Okay, so we could say Capricorn, and then cranberry juice. It's a Keychron keyboard. So what is it? This is why, part of why I don't like having the autocomplete or suggest on Taurus grape. Thank you. Taurus grape juice. Okay. So now we can do a couple things. So let me think. So if we do a for each, so we could do a for hash map. No. Oh, okay, that works. Let me think. This is what I mean by like I understand this stuff better in dot values? No. Are you storing those strings in the hash map? Yes. So this will be the key, this will be the value. So let me see. For string star signs, star sign, and then in the key set, then I could print the star sign, or I could do something like star signs dot get dot, no, it's not dot get, it's at star sign. Oh crap, sorry. Star signs. I shouldn't have named them the same. Star signs at star sign. Index is out of bounds. For each in key set. Let me see, what is key set? I think, let me check. You can get the keys of this hash map. Yes. Oh, maybe it's because it's a set. Or let's see. Okay, yeah, so this is the hash map, right? Right here. Let me comment out the other thing. So we have Capricorn, cranberry juice, Leo, orange juice. And if we do, actually, let me just go debug. So let's do, no, not console. Show, oh wait, wrong one, sorry. Evaluate expression. So do star.signs. Hi, Dr. Doom. And then we can do entry set. Oh yeah, that's why it wasn't working. Okay, so it gives us a null. Keys. Key set. Key set. Key set. Oh, I could do it to array. Okay, maybe that's what I need to do. Okay, so let's try. Let's try this. So star signs. If I put star sign here. Sorry, I keep thinking in thank you, star sign. Okay. And then I run this. Okay, run. And then it gives us Capricorn, Leo, Taurus. And so Capricorn, Leo, Taurus. Let me change this to sign. Let's change this to sign. Okay, so why is this saying index out of bounds? Oh, that's why. Okay, sorry. I was thinking about it in Python. That's why. That is the difficulty of switching between two different languages. But anyway, so you can see it prints cranberry juice, orange juice, grape juice. And then if you wanted to compare it to the PyCharm, I don't know if I can do side-by-side comparison very well because the screen is so small. Okay, so this, let me see, which one is it? It only took like, two lines of code to print this dictionary here in Python. And here it took technically 3 lines of code, but yeah, this is with the for each loop. But there are other examples where Java takes a lot more lines of code to do the same thing. Yes, I took computer science. If you want more information on how you can learn to code, you can go to my GitHub and look at the README doc. Cool, Scam Likely. I hope you enjoy. Alright, so it's been 2 hours and I'm done for the day. And I hope that you all have a good day. So I will see you later. Bye bye. And then need to stop streaming.